It is very important for us to open the way for active and patriotic young people. We'll create all conditions for them to gain experience working on responsible positions. By maintaining continuity, we will prepare a new generation of public administrators. For this purpose, a competition was announced and a committee selected 300 people last year. I met with the winners of the competition last January and shared my thoughts on the challenges ahead and gave them direction. Many of you have been appointed to various positions since then. The fact that young people are working for the good of their country and their people is a positive initiative because it is a real school of life. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev.
Kazakhstan's Presidential Youth Personal Reserve began receiving applications for its second cohort on September 1st. The reserve, which was originally proposed by Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, is meant to serve as a social elevator for talented young people. I am joined today by Azhar Kaliyeva, Chief Consultant at Talent Management Department of the Kazakh Agency for Civil Service Affairs. Thank you for joining us today, Azhar. In December 2019, we have seen 300 bright young people to be admitted in the first cohort of the Youth Presidential Reserve. And so far, what have been the results of that?
Thank you for inviting. I'm very pleased to be today with you and sharing about our experience of the Agency for Civil Service Affairs and for information of Presidential Youth Personal Reserve. The results of the first cohort really successful and positive. In 2019, National Commission on Youth Personal Reserve under the President has decided to enroll 300 young and bright people to the Presidential Reserve. And the average age of the reservists was 31. 58% of them had foreign education, 6 with PhD and 204 with master's degree. And the reserve as a whole consisted of 106 from private sector, 98 from quasi-public sector, and 96 from civil service itself. As of today, but I should mention that the qualitative composition of the first cohort was really quite high. As of today, out of 300, 184, which is more than 60%, are employed within the framework of the reserve. As of to say, 98 are appointed to the central governmental agencies, 39 to the local ones, 33 to quasi-public sector, and 20 to other and private sector organizations. We should note that the results are successful and positive. Therefore, the country's leadership has decided to conduct the second selection to the Presidential Youth Personal Reserve.
And so the second selection started just yesterday on September 1st. If you could tell us what has changed compared to the first selection process.
There are, I can outline 5 main differences. First one is that candidates must provide valid certificate on the Kazakh language knowledge, not lower than intermediate B1. This is the first difference. The second one is that in the first selection procedure, we had the stages like writing essay and defending projects. But in this selection, we have decided to combine it in the solving of situational tasks stage. The third difference is that in this selection, we have competency interview conducted by the professional HR managers. So the period of staying in the reserve is 3 years now.
So could you tell us about the stages of the selection process?
In order to conduct the selection process as a whole, the National Center for Civil Service Personnel Management has developed digital platform at pkreserve.gov.kz, where we started to accept the application starting from the 1st of September and until the end of September. For the convenience and for creating the most favorable and comfortable conditions for the candidates, we give a month period for collecting documents and for passing Kazakh language test. And also it should be noted that Kazakh Resmi test is free of charge, only for those who apply for reserve. The next stage, which will be from the 2nd of October until the 9th of October, is assessment of verbal and numerical abilities of candidates. In this stage, the ability of processing and working with complex verbal and numerical information will be assessed, and then it will be verified also, of course. The third stage is solving situational tasks. 500 successful candidates will pass to this third stage. It will, this stage is aimed at identifying and assessing candidates' vision on solving real problems, and it will assess his or her professional competencies in his field that he or her has chosen. The fourth stage is competency assessment, which will be between 25th of October till 28th of November. This stage consists of 2 blocks. The first one is assessment center. In HR, assessment center is considered as the most valid tool in identifying persons' competencies. And 250 successful candidates will pass through assessment center, which will be offline. This is the only. Through assessment center, 250 candidates will be assessed. Assessment center will identify and assess candidates' competencies inherent in the leaders of the new format, such as strategic thinking, proactivity, persuasiveness, team building, and performance management. After that, 125 successful candidates will pass to the competency interview. This competency interview is in the form of individual in-depth interviews conducted by professional HR managers. It will assess and identify a person's inner motivation and values, because civil service is about, let's say, non-material values and about patriotism and the wish to serve to his country and nation. The next stage is the interview with the expert commission. Expert commission will be formed by the presidential administration, and every candidate will be interviewed by this expert commission. As a result of these interviews, 65 candidates will be recommended to be enrolled to the reserve. And between 30th of December until the 23rd of December, National Commission will hold meetings on enrollment of 50 candidates for the Presidential Youth Personal Reserve.
Do you think the initial goals of the reserve and the tasks voiced by the President in the development of civil service, public service, were achieved?
Definitely they were achieved because Presidential Reserve currently nowadays is one of the most effective tools of attracting the highly qualified professionals to the civil service. This is fact. And This fact itself improves the quality of the civil service. And one of the goals that the President set before the reserve was to create social lift for young and bright, talented citizens of Kazakhstan to implement their potential and ideas and projects in the civil service, to eliminate some obstacles maybe that the system creates itself. And according to the results, we can say that this goal also was achieved. Many reservists initiated and implementing still their really good projects. For example, Zhumagulov, he works in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and he has initiated digitalization of the state service on issuing visas of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Tamabek Abulkhair, he works in the local governmental body in the Akimat, and he has initiated the issue on returning undeveloped agricultural land to the state, which is in 1.5 years consists 120,000 hectares. Number of reservists, they developed the concept of public administration. Laura Demisinova, for example, she is continuing her project, Our Knowledge to Our Country. Under this project, she is conducting professional orientations in the schools and universities. Alexander Danilov, for example, he is leading the project stopfake.kz, which is the aim of this project is to stop the false information in the internet, for example. And there are numerous really good projects and ideas that our reservists are implementing. And this reserve is, no matter how many successful projects they have, the reserve has become a platform that combines these bright and talented young people in one reserve, who are really striving to fulfill their potential for the sake of the country. This is some kind of synergy.